keen fisherman. And this year in particular, I've been every day so far. Yesterday, I always look at the weather forecast the previous evening to check on things, especially the temperature. Yesterday, I'd got my plan. I was actually going on a canal targeting perch. However, when I woke up, went out to the car, the weather forecast wasn't right on that occasion, and instead of a fairly mildish start to the day, we had an overnight frost. So I was scraping ice before I could drive the car from home. I changed my plan. So instead of the perch on the canal, I went for roach on a pool, somewhere that I know would probably produce the roach rather than the perch. As it was, I caught perch, I didn't catch a roach, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is I changed my plan because the circumstances had also changed and I didn't know in advance that they would. The importance of being flexible, that's what I'm talking about. You do sometimes come across people and you're trying to organise something and you say, what about mornings? Any chance of doing an early morning? No, I have to have my breakfast at 8 o'clock. What about Monday afternoon? Oh, always go shopping to Sainsbury's Monday afternoon. What about Tuesday lunchtime? Oh, always go to this place on a Tuesday lunchtime, or whatever the case may be. I think you get the gist. I made those things up, by the way, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Flexibility is important. You say, can you make Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock? Well, you were doing this. I always put the bins out at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. It's not important. You say, of course I can. You can put the bins out at 9:30, or you can put them out at 11. It doesn't have to be at the time that you usually do them. Now, routine is good, absolutely. But you also have to be flexible with it as well. I was talking to someone who I know fairly recently, and he was telling me of a job position that his business had advertised, and a number of folks had applied and they'd had interviews. And one person in particular was very hopeful for them in terms of being the one that they would take on board. But when they had their time after the interview or during the interview, but that part of it where they then asked them, do you have any questions? One of them was, what time do you start and what time do you finish? So they gave the times, but also because they deal directly with members of the public, they said, and sometimes you might have to work half your lunch break and then take it later, or even if we're waiting for customers to come in and they have an appointment, maybe stay over as well. And the person who looked very good on paper in terms of qualification said, oh, I don't really like that. I want to start at this time, finish at that time, and that's it. Now, they didn't get the job. Perhaps if they were flexible, they would have done. The importance of being flexible, and of course, being the church at Hiraeth, I always have a passage of scripture or sometimes a verse, but on this occasion, it's the former. It's the Apostle Paul in the book of 1 Corinthians, writing, though I am free and belong to no man, I make myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To the Jews, I become like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law, I become like one under the law, although I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law, I become like one not having the law, though I am not free from God's law, but am under Christ's law, so as to win those not having the law. To the weak I become weak to win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I might save some. I did this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. And although that's in a different context to what I'm talking about, I'm talking very generically. I'm talking about life in general. The importance being flexible is still there in that particular passage of scripture. If we are flexible, we will be able to progress further in life. We'll get more done. We'll accomplish more. We'll achieve more. If we're rigid, we won't. So the message for me in this Wednesday Words of Wisdom is, by all means, make our plans. That's important. Otherwise, we'll be buffeted by the winds. Back to the weather forecast. We'll be here, there and everywhere. We won't know where we're going. When I go to bed at night, I know where I'm going fishing the next morning. But sometimes, very occasionally, when the weather intervenes, circumstances beyond my control, I have to change my plan. Be flexible. Be easygoing. If we are at work and we are asked, you couldn't just stop over for 10 minutes, could you? Say, yeah, of course, no problem. Because if we are flexible, if we are easygoing, if we are accommodating, we will get much further in life than if we are rigid and inflexible. I was